Welcome to our humble abode, or I guess RV in this instance. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Welcome!
Is our Christmas kitty still in bed? Yes, she is. Merry Christmas, Casey!
Hi, I go by Elle, and I'm doing RV cooking. Many of you probably do RV cooking already, but this is Christmas Eve, so it's kind of a special night for Brian and me. My husband Brian, he's the one filming. He's the one behind the camera. He waved. Anyway, I'm going to make Christmas dinner in a very, very short and I guess conservative manner, because it's a small stove and a nice sink, a full-size fridge, and a pantry. But anyway, I decided to start off with a salad. I know you all know how to make a salad, but I'm going to call this one the Farmer's Market Salad. So this has cauliflower, tricolored carrots, cauliflower, like I said, romaine lettuce, radishes, and anyway, I got more going in because it's the farmer's market, right? So we got celery, we got cucumber, we got some cherry tomatoes, and I'm going to do some onions and slice up some olives, black olives, and I'm going to throw that in there and mix it up and add your favorite meat, or as of tomorrow, we're just going to have it as a salad, as a precursor to our meal. Anyway, I'm going to finish the salad up, and then I'll see you in a little bit for the rest of the food. Have a good day. You're back. Christmas Eve. Now it's time to make food for Christmas. So I'm doing some preparatory cooking for tomorrow, and I'm going to make a rice cauliflower stuffing. I've never ever done that before. So this is ghee. That's about a tablespoon and a half. No, I didn't measure it.
But it all comes out good.
I've never ever made rice cauliflower stuffing before, but since my husband and I are kind of watching our carbs and our sugars, I decided to get into the game of, you know, partially keto, partially paleo, but it's not one or the other. It's kind of a combination, and kind of it's just avoiding what we need to avoid. And so that's sugar and carbs. But more so for me than my husband, but he's a good sport. So he just goes along with what I do. So I melted this ghee. I like cooking with ghee, and it gives you a rich flavor. And I've already cut up the celery and the onions. Sorry, I almost said carrots, but there's no carrots in this. I suppose you could put it in if you wanted to, but this is just the base. Now I'm just like a farmer's daughter. My dad was a farmer, and my mom, she cooked for my dad while he was out in the fields, harvesting the crops of wheat and milo. That's what my dad grew, and my grandfather. So I'm just a farmer's daughter's, cook, and that's how I learned to cook. I don't have any formal training or anything. So this is just kind of for fun. My husband and me are full-time RVers, and the space is so compact, and then when you're preparing for a big meal like Christmas meal, and it's just me and my husband. Anyway, you want to cook this as if you're sauteing it, and get it a little brownish. So, and what I'm going to do after that, and this is for tomorrow, I'm not going to do anything with this but cook it up tonight because I'm saving time and saving refrigerator space. We all know how tight that is. And I'm just preparing it for tonight to just add with the rice cauliflower that I have. It's frozen. We picked it up in the frozen section, and you're probably familiar with it. This is kind of new to me though, this kind of diet thing. And so, it's for health reasons. But, you have to adjust your diet here and there, and we're getting older, so our diet's changed. So, we're in our 50s. So, anyway, the lovely 50s. So, anyway, what I'm going to do after this brown, so I'm going to add some chicken stock. So, you can add bone broth or whatever. And some salt and pepper, and some sage, and poultry seasoning. Now, I'm making this exactly like you would with a traditional stuffing. So, all my stuff is kind of, kind of
good.
Of Grandma and Grandpa's time. Grandma and Grandpa, how they used to cook. My grandmother, she came from Germany, but her ancestors, I believe, came from Norway. And my grandfather, this is paternal side, he was Scottish, completely Scottish. And then my maternal grandmother and grandfather, they're Scottish as well, so I'm very much Scottish. So when you saw me in my day, I had reddish hair and very curly. Now I'm graying, and the lovely, shades of time changes color and wrinkles. Anyway, enough with me, but just cooking. So it smells good. So this is a whole onion, and this is about a half a rib of celery. So that's what that is. And this is like a medium-sized saucepan, so it's about a third full of onion and celery, about half and half, but quite good. So let's take a little break and come back.
Checking in on Casey here while the stuffing beginnings are going, and she's kind of indifferent to the camera, which is about how it is usually, aren't you, baby? Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Okay, like a pillar of salt. Salt it is. Okay, I'm going to put in about, oh, too much. No way. Okay, this is about a teaspoon of salt. I see some already dropped in. I don't think I want to put that much more in. Okay. That was too much. And this is poultry seasoning. I want about a teaspoon of that. Maybe a teaspoon and a half. Like I said, I'm just making this up like I always do. Sage, about the same amount. And of course we'll have to get this back out tomorrow when we make the stuffing to see how everything tastes. But for right now, I wanted some of the flavors to go in there. And that's pepper. I just put in a little bit, depending on your taste, how much you want. Okay, now I'm only going to use a little bit of broth right now and put it on simmer because I'm going to add the rest tomorrow with the stuffing. So I'm going to let this simmer for about 10 minutes, and then I'm just going to put it in an airtight container and let it sit overnight. And then tomorrow we'll finish the rice stuffing. And also, this is the same exact recipe that you can use with your bread cubes or your cornbread. You don't have to use, you can use any kind of filler. You don't have to use just cauliflower. You can use the bread and the cornbread. I used to like to make out the cornbread and just cube it, and then I wouldn't even let it dry. I'd make it that way. Of course, you have to bake it a little bit longer, but it was really good. But this year I'm going, although corn is gluten-free, but I am watching my carbs, so I'm not, I'm kind of doing a keto paleo and watching the carbs on that. So I'm using rice, cauliflower rice this year. But you could probably even use this with rice. I'm not sure how it would turn out, though. I've never done that. If you do it, though, I'd be interested to hear how it turns out. I bet it tastes good, though, especially if you like rice. So, but okay. Talk to you later. Hey, as you know, it's Christmas Eve, so we're making cookies for Santa tonight. This isn't an ordinary chocolate chip cookie, though, I'm afraid, but I think it'll still taste good. But I've been tweaking this recipe, and this is like the 4th time I'm making it, and it's a kind of a paleo keto kind of a cookie, so it's like less sugar and not all the great stuff in it. But last time I made this, I'm improving every single time, so I think I'm confident enough to put out a recipe that's good. The problem I'm having is that it's coming out kind of dry. So I read that coconut flour is absorbent and it kind of dries things out. So I'm hoping to conquer that. We'll let you know. But anyway, if you want to follow this recipe and then at the end on the taste test, I'll let you know if you should do it or not. Probably a bad way to do this, but anyway, you start out always when you're making cookies, you want to cream your shortening and your sugar together. So here's my ghee, and of course this is RV cooking, so this isn't the sous chef or the famous bakers out there or anything. This is just me and my camper, just making cookies for me and my husband. So you want about it. I don't like to do a lot of shortening because I don't like a lot of fat. No, but I know that's what keto is. But again, this is kind of my own kind of creation. So, and of course this is just guesswork. So that's about a half cup right there. That's this isn't ordinary shortening. This is organic all vegetable shortening. It's palm oil. I'm pretty sure that's coconut, but it's, yeah, coconut. So, and this is ghee, clarified butter. So I like to add that in here too. Oh, my husband just put that on the stove. We'll just put it back here so
Stove is on. I moved it.
so it doesn't melt.
I did look.
So it doesn't melt on top of the stove. Okay, that's about a tablespoon. I think I'm going to just use all of this. I have more, but you know, all of you cookie lovers out there, I know you probably like the taste of butter in your cookies. But this is supposed to be a healthy cookie. So Santa may not appreciate this cookie, but I'm hoping to fool Santa. I'm hoping to fool him that it's a good cookie anyway. And so we'll see. We'll see. So that looks like that's more like a third. So I got about a half and a third. So anyway, okay, that's that. Okay, here's the sugar. And so in keto, you're not supposed to really have sugar. And so I got this monk fruit sweetener. It's supposed to have 0 glycemic index. So somehow that's better if you're watching your sugars, that it doesn't have a glycemic index on there. Let's see, I got about what is that? A third. That's a third cup. Again, I'm just throwing this together because this is how I cook. I don't use traditional recipes. I kind of make up my own. So I'm going to throw that in there. That's about a third. And this is a half cup. So we'll see. And this is a brown sugar substitute. It's Swerve. And everywhere I read on the internet about Swerve when I was researching sugar, you know, and 0 glycemic indexes, that everyone's raving about Swerve. They think it's the best. I do have to say, that's about a half cup. I guessed at it. Anyway, I have to say, Swerve, it does have a nice look and feel and texture to a brown sugar alternative. So, and you know, in your chocolate chip cookies, you kind of need that kind of maple texture, maple taste, I think. But anyway, I used this last time. I liked it. Now, if you're a big sugar fan,
This is not for you.
You're not gonna probably get a huge sugar taste out of it. But you know, if you're on the same kind of diet or watching your sugar and watching your carbs like I am, this is a great alternative. So you want to cream this together, and you who bake out there, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, sometimes this is, you know, the magic part of making a cookie, is that you cream this together first. And and if you don't have the dexterity, or if it's harder for you to do what I'm doing, I use just a table knife. You know, as RV cookers, we have to be conservative on our bakeware and our dishes. You know how hard it is to conserve water, and it's like whenever you do a dish, it seems it uses up half your fresh water tank. so you're always trying to, you know, modify, and you don't always use the knives you need for chopping vegetables or anything, but you know what I get. You know what I'm talking about. So that's pretty close to the consistency you want. If I wasn't filming this, I'd probably do it a little bit more, but that's pretty close. I don't think all the shortening is, you know, blended very well right now, but you could use a mixer if you need to, you know, in case it's harder for you to do what I'm doing. It does take a little bit of work to do that. Muscles used Next I add eggs. I'm going to put 2 in. And a lot of these recipes say just use 1, but I'm never happy with just 1. If anything, I might use 3 since it's so dry, you know, to add more moistness to the mixture. And I also add the vanilla extract at this time. And it's supposed to be about a teaspoon. That's more like a half teaspoon, but that's okay. And basically, I guess what I'm saying here is, you know, you don't have to follow a recipe completely to the T. I didn't say that to all you bakers out there who are very specific. Not on this, because I know the flavor, it will still turn out good. And, you know, the fun part about baking is that it's experimental. It's like chemistry, throwing together different things to see what the outcome is. And sometimes it's not going to turn out very good. But if you kind of stick to a generalization of a recipe, I think you'll have a good outcome. So it doesn't have to be perfect, you know. As you can tell when I was reading the book of Luke and that 'twas the night before Christmas, I had several mistakes myself, so I'm not very perfect at all. Kind of funny, really. Oh, and Casey, she kept jumping down from the couch because her cushion, it was underneath the blanket. She didn't like it there, so she likes her cushion above the blankets. Okay, this is coconut milk powder. And a lot of recipes for keto and stuff said add coconut milk to it and some water. I think it's a bad idea. That's like a good heaping tablespoon of coconut milk. But anyway, I think it's a bad idea to add more fluid to a cooking mix. But I see why they do this, because the coconut flour is so dry. So, but if I'm going to add fluid, like this water here, I don't want to add too much. I'm just going to add the same amount. That's about a tablespoon or less of fluid. I just don't think it's a good idea to add fluid, especially water, to a cooking mix. That's not how you make traditional cookies. And another thing that you're probably wondering, if you're a good cook and stuff, why did I crack my eggs inside the dough mix? Because a lot of you want to, when you break your egg, you want to put it separate for many reasons. In case it's a bad egg, or in case you get shells in it, it's easier. But, you know, I'm conserving space, and my husband doesn't mind if he eats an eggshell once in a while. Anyway.
Rumor has it.
Okay, so I put the coconut powder in it and everything. So now is the almond flour. So I'm going to put 2 cups. That's about, I remember in home ec in 7th grade, I was supposed to give a presentation on how you're supposed to measure flour. And you're supposed to dip it in and then take a table knife and brush off the excess. Oh, I hope Mrs. Cockrell doesn't remember me. So, all right. That's that, and I like to add a little bit of coconut flour. As I've been saying, it's kind of a dry flour and it's super absorbent. So I'm only going to add like a 1/4 cup of coconut flour. And I'm doing this mostly because of sweetness, because it's just, if you're used to sugar, going on a non-sugar diet, it's
not very sweet.
It's rather difficult. Okay, so I haven't put in my leavening yet. So it looks like that right now. And I need to add some salt. And I don't like to add a lot of salt, despite what you saw earlier on what I was doing. Okay, that's like a half teaspoon. Ideally, you put in almost a teaspoon. That's not very much. I don't like things salty, but I need it to raise. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, and then the next leavening is going to be a little different. Now this is something I thought of because it's not, as I've been saying, it's dry. It's a dry cookie. So this is like a teaspoon of baking soda, which you need. And what combats that dryness is vinegar. So I'm going to add a little bit of this, and this is a new rendition for me to this. This is about a teaspoon or less. It's not much. It's just white vinegar. You just kind of mix that up. Okay. So it fizzed. You want it to fizz. You want to let it quit fizzing. Okay, I got my leavening in there. And this is what your cookies should look like. This is exactly what it should look like. If it's more watery, it's probably going to be more dry and more hard. So this is a very good texture. Okay, and for the chocolate chips, I've been using this. I rather like them. It's Lakanto or Lakanto. I'm sorry if I'm saying your product name wrong, but it is a good chocolate chip. I have to tell you, it's kind of expensive though, but it sure is worth it. So I'm not going to put in a lot because, and again, this has like monk fruit in it, a mixture of monk fruit, I think. Yeah, monk fruit sweetener, erythritol, and monk fruit extract. So 0 glycemic index on that. And I put in about 2 tablespoons of chocolate chips. And lately I've seen, and lots of companies are starting to come out with these chocolate chips, and the sugar-free. All right, so that's ready to go. I'm going to spray this down. If I can find my spray. Here's my spray. And get the sides. Okay, that's sprayed down. I had turned the oven on. It needs to be about 375. I'm going to turn it to 400 because this oven is a little bit less on heat. It's 400 is probably about 350 or 375. And we also have a baking stone in here. And the baking stone we learned from a friend of my husband's that things don't cook even without that stone in an RV oven. And with that stone in the oven, it makes more of an even bake, and it's really good. Maybe you already know this, and I'm sorry if I'm reiterating what you already know.
We tried cooking a pizza without it, and then we tried cooking one with it, and I tell you, with it is so much better.
Yeah, you get a good crust with that baking stone. So my hands are clean, I guarantee it. I guarantee my hands are very clean. This feels a little moist to me. So I think that vinegar is a good agent. And also with coconut flour, you don't get the rise in your bake. it just doesn't rise. It's just kind of a heavy flour. So the vinegar and soda, that should help it raise. I am a little worried about what's it going to taste like, because I've not done this. I just decided to do it last time, and I think that's little bits of vegetable shortening still that I didn't get mixed in, but that's okay, it'll melt in it. So that's what it looks like. I gotta wash my hands off real quick. And that oil doesn't want to come off your hands. Okay, here it goes in the oven. I hope Santa Claus will like this. So it'll be done in about 20 minutes. Unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly the time because I got a heck of a nose, and my nose knows the smell of a done cookie. So I think it's about 20, probably more like 25 minutes in there, and they'll come out and they'll be nice and warm and yummy, I hope. So we'll see. Check back with you in a bit. So it's been about 25 minutes and the cookies are done. This is how brown it should look. Of course you see my fingerprint indentions from when I pressed it into the pan. So, oh, it's very soft. This is softer than normal. This is very soft. So to cut down on water usage, we're using paper tonight. We don't always use paper, but give it a roll. So there's a chocolate chip, nice and melty. So it's very soft. You know, I think that's a winner. This is a good recipe. You might want to write that one down. It's good. It's good. I might have to watch myself again so I can write it down because I don't know what I did. So that's the funny thing about winging it and making up your own recipe. You don't know what you did, but at least I have this recording, right? I'll go back and write it down. This is good. This is good. I'm pleased. Well, anyway, I think the vinegar was the secret. So it's almost a little too soft. So maybe just a little more almond flour, maybe, or maybe no water. So that was good. It's a good cookie. I like it anyway. I don't know how you like your cookies, but I like mine like this. I like it very moist and soft. And that's really good. Very pleased. So, you all have a Merry Christmas. I hope Santa will like the chocolate chip bar cookies. Peace on earth. You all have a good night. Okay, we're preparing for Christmas dinner tomorrow, and I'm going to pre-make some ham glaze for tomorrow, so I'll be ready to roll in the morning so I can get that ham in the oven. This is ghee, clarified butter, and about a tablespoonful, maybe a little over. I'm going to melt that on the pan. And I'm going to use, I'm going to make a brown sugar maple syrup glaze. And yes, I'm just kind of throwing it together like I do. And this is a sugar-free keto. And we found a ham that's no sugar on it, and so I got to make my own. This is Swerve, a brown sugar. And I'm going to use some powdered mustard, some yellow mustard, some ground cinnamon, and ground cloves. I don't know how it'll turn out, but I'll tell you tomorrow, I promise, because I'm just kind of making it up, like I always do. Well, you know, when you're in the RV, you know, you don't really have room for a lot of books or cookbooks. Maybe you can write down a few of the recipes you like and everything, but when it comes down to it, there's no room. And so I'm going to remove the clarified butter off the burner for a bit. Add some maple syrup. And I found this looked pretty good to me. I don't know how it's going to turn out. It smells like maple syrup, actually. It smells really good. I'm impressed. Okay, and some brown sugar. Oh, you probably want to know how much I put in there, don't you? That looks like that's about a 1/3 cup, maybe a half. About a 1/2 cup. Okay, and some brown sugar. That's about a 1.5 tablespoons. Another tablespoon, I would say. Okay, that's what I put in it. Let's for some mustard. Okay, no guarantees this is going to come out. Okay, this is powdered mustard. This is, so I put about a tablespoon of mustard, regular mustard in there, and this is, my aim is about 2 teaspoons of powdered. And I'm going to add probably a teaspoon, well, we'll see. That's about a teaspoon of cloves. And about a teaspoon of cinnamon. So I like cloves more. This, I've not used cinnamon on my ham glaze before, but let's see how it turns out. So I believe this is probably the kind of consistency you want. Oops, making a bit of a mess. So I'm just going to heat this up for until it gets rather warm and dissolves that brown sugar I put in it, the swerve.
You're on about a medium heat here, it looks like.
Yep. The mustard doesn't dissolve very well. Looks like I need to get that seasoning off the spoon. Let me get it in here and get a knife. I hope you didn't see inside there. It's such a mess.
I think we missed it.
Good. I think I'm going to go with the knife. I like it better. But I'm going to try this tomorrow. It was rather hard trying to find a sugar-free ham, or no sugar ham, that is. We finally found a ham. And we actually went to Sprouts in Colorado, and they actually had no sugar hams. That was the only place that we could find one. But you know, ham needs some kind of glaze. It just helps keep it moist and, you know, locks in flavor. And you know, before I went on the sugar-free diet, which I guess you could say it's not really sugar-free since we're having swerve and monk fruit. It's just a sweetener, but
Yeah, it's cane sugar-free.
yeah. But you know, there's hardly any glycemic index that, you know, bothers your blood. You know, the insulin in your blood, so that's good. I don't know, you know, for diabetics if that's the kind of diet you use or not. I don't know. I just have another problem that I'm trying to avoid yeast for that's intimidating. So that's why I'm going yeast-free. I'm not sure if this would be acceptable or not, but when we were researching, I'm going to turn this down. That's a bit too hot. It smells like it's too hot. But when we were researching sugar in products. It's like almost any product you buy has sugar in it. We looked at some wholesome gravy mixes, sugar, taco mixes, sugar. There seems to be sugar in everything. And so, we're so used to sugar, but, just going straight off of it, it's almost like you crave it. So we were able to find a few things, without sugar, and it was okay for a while to go without sugar, but then we found, alternatives like this monk fruit and stuff that I think they say it doesn't raise your glycemic index. I know I talk a lot about that, but I don't really know a lot about that. All I know is I don't want to mess with that. So anyway, so that's the reason for making my own glaze. I hope it works. It looks pretty good. That was a good taste. That was actually very good. So that concludes that. I'm going to wrap this up, put it away, and use it on the ham tomorrow. Merry Christmas.